Hi again. So I assume you might be going out and buying another car, huh? And if you are, I think you're going to learn some really good stuff today. Stuff that help you. And I'll tell you something else. Knowing and acting on this information, it might be a lot more valuable than you might think. You might not know this. I didn't, okay? Car ownership costs are now the second largest household expense in the United States. Did you know that? 17% of take-home income. The average family spends almost as much money on cars every year as they do on food and health care combined. Surprising, huh? But that's why I said what I said. The information we're about to get into today might be a lot more valuable than you might think. Because the good news is that cars aren't just a huge expense. For most people, they can be one heck of an opportunity for saving money. There are so many opportunities to save or lose money here. So many tricks they try to play on you. Man, I can't tell you. Fortunately, I've learned all kinds of things to do and not do over the last 55 years of car buying, and especially thanks to the advice of a very smart and very knowledgeable insider. His name is Remar Sutton. And if you Google Remar's name, it's game over, baby, because he's the man, okay? So today I'll be sharing what I've learned with you, and I also, as I said, I think this course is unusually valuable. I believe this course alone should be worth somewhere between $1,000 and $3,000 or more a year in your pocket to you, depending on the car price range you're buying in. Multiply this over the years, and you look at the impact. Look at the amount of money. How much? $1,000 to $3,000 a year, invested at, say, 6% return, is $40,000 to $120,000 in 20 years. Think about what that kind of money alone can do for you, huh? It's amazing, isn't it? We lose track of what time and the amount of money involved. A lot of money here. So let's go get it. Let's go get some of that money. But to get that money, your money, there's quite a few things you need to be aware of and follow. But as always, don't try to remember everything. There's a lot of stuff here. It'll all be in your notes. You'll have checklists. You'll know what to do, okay? So don't worry about it. Okay, let's go. Knowledge time. And remember, like I said in course number 1, how to get the best price or best deal on almost anything. Knowledge is power. And you always want that power working for you, not against you. There are 10 rules you need to follow when it comes to buying cars. Rule number 1, and probably the most important rule of all, never buy a new car. To quote Remar, unless you're planning to keep a vehicle for a long time, a new car is probably one of the worst investments in the world. Look, if you're financially free, 100%, you work when and where you want, you pretty much have everything you really want, go buy your new car if you want to. If you're not there yet, my advice is don't do it. I don't, and most of the successful people I know don't. So why don't they buy new? Because it would cost them a heck of a lot more money if they did. You're going to see. So before you do, I want you to think about what else you can do with that money. Great vacations, a nicer house, or becoming financially free sooner in your life. If you're like most people, you're going to see that buying your cars new, owning a car that's new, for what? For a couple of months? Is not the way to go. Now to help you make this key decision, we're going to look at how much it'll actually cost you. But first, let's look at why most people want to buy their cars new in the first place. Stop for a minute. Think about every new car commercial you've ever seen. You ever notice that their underlying message of these commercials is almost always the same? Something like, hey, you. You get behind the wheel of this new 555i, man, you will own the road. The power, the freedom, the luxury. People will admire you. You're really going to be somebody. Boy, you're going to be happy. Now, isn't that true? Think about the commercials. Isn't that almost always the underlying pitch of these things? Even when it's a family, they show them off on a picnic or, oh, wow, this is amazing, right? So what happens? So you buy the new car, and it really does make you additionally happy. Adds you happiness for the first few weeks. maybe for the first couple of months. After that, no, you're pretty much back to where you started, except now you're out a lot of money. Bottom line, they won, you lost. Ain't advertising grand. Oh boy. So I ask you, what is the real difference between a new car and a 2 or 3 year old car? Do you notice a difference when it drives by? Most people don't. Is there a noticeable difference in safety? Sometimes, yeah, but most of the time, no. Would it be more comfortable? Not really. How about having fewer miles on it? You know, when it comes to miles, the well-made cars, they go 150,000 plus miles or more. It really is not a significant factor. And any savings on a warranty that you might get there are blown away by the difference in the cost of purchasing the car. What, nicer looking? That's why you buy it? You just like it better? Stop and think about it. If you still think buying a new car is right for you, why? You're talking status? Are you being influenced by these commercials? Letting other people decide how you spend your money? I'm telling you, the real difference between a new and a 2 or 3 year old car is money, baby. One hell of a lot of money, okay? A new car loses an average of 20% in the first year. In the 2 years, we're talking at least 35%. That's $9,000 on a $25,000 car, $12,000 on a $35,000 car. And if you're financing the car, it's more yet. Think about what it means to have that extra money. $10,000 every 5 years at 6% is a return of $88,000 in 20 years. You want to give that up for having a new car for a couple of months? My wife and I sure don't. I mean, I'll talk about me, okay? In 2010, we wanted a new car. So what do we buy? We're financially free. We can do what we want, but I don't care. I don't waste that kind of money. You can't get me to buy a new car. Anyway, so I wanted an accurate TL. Not exactly an inexpensive car, but I love the street drive. Raised on the streets of New York. Let's go. I want a car that handles, and boy, does that baby handle, okay? I love it. But at that time, if we bought it new, no matter how successfully I negotiated on the price, we're talking around $40,000 or so. About $43,500 including taxes. So what do we get? We got a 2008 TL, a 2-year-old car. It was a leaseback. It looked brand new. Other than the driver's seat, I don't think anybody ever sat in the rest of the car. Had 17,000 miles on it and came with all its warranties. We've had it for 7 years now, and we've paid nothing what you'd expect in the way of normal maintenance for a car with 120,000 miles on it. Here's a picture of it I took the other day. Take a look. That's a 9-year-old car. Does it really look all that different than a brand new car? And when it comes to handling and comfort and safety, I'm telling you, it's surprisingly good even now. I've sat in newer cars. I don't see hardly any difference and driven them. All right, so what do we pay? $26,000, $28,500 including the tax versus $43,500. We save $15,000. And that's cash after income tax. Okay? To have $15,000 cash, I'd have to make almost $25,000. That's a heck of a lot of money. And imagine if I put $25,000 into an IRA every 5 years, huh? If they add those numbers up, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. Look, listen, I know it's nice to drive a new car, at least for the first couple of months. But I'm telling you, look at what you're trading for it. And in most cases, it's a really bad trade. One that you would probably deeply regret at some point, okay? So, okay for rule number 1, but it's a critical rule. Please do not buy a new car. Buy a 2 to 3 year old leaseback or whatever. Rule number 2, don't pay for things that are or may not be worth it. Things like image. Don't go purchasing an unnecessary, any expensive car or truck for its image, at least not until you're financially free. You know, if you compare a more reasonable car, maybe an Accord or a Camry, to cars costing a lot more, they're almost as safe, they're almost as reliable. The difference in comfort and handling is pretty small. Raw power. To understand what it means to buy a gas guzzler. On average, we're talking an additional gas cost of $1,700 a year. $2,500 before taxes. You put that in an IRA at 6% return, you're talking $97,000 in 20 years, $209,000 in 30. For gas. Bet you didn't have any idea that was that size of a decision, huh? Bet you didn't think it was that big a decision. And once again, you don't have to wait for 200 grand. You don't have to wait for 20, 30 years. How much can 100 grand affect you in like 10 years, 12 years? Really change the game. That's what you're trading for, a gas guzzler. Interesting, right? Next, owning a car you don't need. These days, things have changed with Uber and Lyft. Maybe you don't need a second car. Maybe you should sell it. Use Uber or Lyft, maybe public transportation, carpooling, or just rent one when you need one. If this applies to you, you not only free up some nice money, it simplifies life. Keep it simple. Now look, don't get me wrong. It's your money and it's your life. But you really need to ask yourself, you want a wow car? Or you want to be a wow car for a short number of months? Or to be free 10 years sooner to do whatever you want with your days? Huh? Or if it's a gas guzzler, right? Is that what you want? Is that the trade? Boy, I don't think so. Think about quality of life. Think about your days, your hours. What I'm telling you is one of our very biggest expenses. How you buy your cars can be a real game changer, so be smart. Choose what you want most from your life, right? Choose what you really want. Don't sell things short. But before we leave the subject of getting the right car, I have a little surprise for you. It's not all about getting the lowest price car possible. You need to balance getting a car for less with getting a car you'll be happy with. Because if you're not, you won't be happy with it. You'll just end up buying another one sooner and you lose. Okay? That's a losing proposition in money and also in being happy. I'm still telling you not to buy a new car. I'm still not telling you not to get caught up in image games and so on, but to win, to truly win, you need to create a balance. And what that means is the cheapest car is usually not the right one to go with. Interesting, okay? I'm also telling you something else. Before you buy a car that's cheaper than the others, you need to stop and think, why is it cheaper? Huh? Me? I don't need to ask. I just do the safe thing. To me, the smart thing. I don't ever buy the cheapest one of whatever it might be, as I'm pretty sure if I do, I'll regret it at some point. Next rule, choose the exact car you want. Model, features, and such. Put the time in to identify exactly what you want. There's loads of online resources that can help you do that. See what the advice sites have to say regarding reliability and owner satisfaction of different makes and models and years. For a new car, you go to the manufacturer's website, you build the exact vehicle you want. Features, color, everything, right? When it comes to choosing the used car you want, there's something else you need to know. This is important. Every year we're told that the car this year, every car, is a new model. Hey, the new the 2016s are coming out, the 2017s are coming out, and so on. But you know what matters most? And we're talking about it on a used car, or even on a new car. This is important to know. Most of the time, the car is no different. The changes from year to year are small, cosmetic, very small. But about every 5 years or so, that's the new car. They make all the big changes at once, every 5 years. So that's the real new model. You always need to know what year that is. Always. Example, let's say the real model change was 2015. What that means is that there's almost no difference between a 2011 and a 2014. But the 2015, that's a better car. That's a big improvement. So you always need to know the year of the big change and make your decisions accordingly. Me, I'll buy the 2015 in that case. The same as a 2017 or a 2018, but the price is 35 to 45% less than that. And it's the same car. And of course, it's a big improvement over the 2011 to 2014, right? So that for sure. So you always know that magic point, okay? Most people don't, it's amazing, but know when the real car is changing, okay? Say you're buying a new car, and it's gonna be next year's the year. Wait, baby, wait, okay, even on a new car. And again, don't do new cars, please. Okay, also, next thing you need to do is it's good to take just a couple of minutes and at least be aware of the maintenance cost of the cars you're looking at. Differences are pretty big. For example, right now, the most expensive car to maintain is a BMW. Average 10-year maintenance cost, $17,800, $1,780 a year. The least expensive is a Toyota, $550 a year, $5,500 in 10 years. Now, I'm not telling you what car to buy. I'm not. But it's good to spend a couple minutes to at least be aware of the maintenance cost difference of your choices. It may help you choose a different car, right? Okay. Last of all, always test drive the different makes and models you're interested in. Always. But after you do, leave. Always leave. No way are you ready to buy yet. Okay? Rule number 4. If you're buying used, you need to understand used car pricing. It's a very simple thing to do. On the internet, there's lots of sites give you the 3 prices you need to know for any given used car. Dealer purchase price, the price you'd get if you sold it privately, and dealer asking price. This is good stuff, because now you know about what the dealer paid for it. Add another $500 or so, say the dealer did some fix-ups or whatever, and you know about how much profit he's got in his price. If you want a rough rule of thumb, they're normally trying to get something like 15% profit. And if and when in the negotiating process you're forced to make your first offer, you might go for maybe something that gives about 8%. Now, if you're buying new, same thing, understand the pricing. For openers, sticker price, always help a sticker price, meaningless, completely meaningless, okay? What matters is the invoice price. The invoice price is what the dealer paid for it. And getting a good general idea of that price, no problem. On a number of sites give it to you on the internet, okay? Now, while those prices aren't always 100% accurate, they're a good indicator of what the dealer paid for the car. But not exactly. You see, the dealer also gets what's called dealer holdback from the manufacturer on every car they sell. The holdback is another 3% of the sticker price. Now, you're not going to get any of that money, okay? But it helps you to know it's there. You need to know it's there. And you may, at some point, you may tell the dealer you know it's there, all right? For what it's worth, a fair offer is usually, say, about 3.5% above invoice price. You can do better, fine, but it's kind of hard to get much lower price than that. And again, before we go further, remember, no notes. Don't worry about remembering this. A lot of things. All these things are in your notes. Checklists, okay, I'm buying a new car, so what I do. Buying a used car, that's what I do. It's all there, okay? All right. Rule number 6. Usually you do not want to lease. Leasing has exploded. We're at the point where, I don't know if you know this, 29% of all millennials are now leasing, believe it or not. But when it comes to car leasing, the salesman often gets a bigger commission and can usually prove to you you win, even though most of the time you don't. The games here can get very confusing. To help you on this, there's a site on the internet that's pretty good at whether or not you should lease, and if so, how to go about it. That site is carbuyingtips.com, and the link will be in your notes at the end on that, okay? You want to go a step further? Listen to my guy, Remar Sutton. You can buy his book, Don't Get Taken Every Time, on Amazon, used, for like $5 to $10. It's not only one of the best consumer buying courses you'll ever find, it's a fun read, at least I found a lot of fun. He lets you in on all the games, makes you like a fly on the wall, listening to exactly what an awful lot of car salesmen really think of you and how they intend to manipulate you for their benefit and yours, what they're really doing. And again, I'm not trying to knock car dealers, car salesmen. This is their life, this is their job, this is the game they play every day, and they're not being mean to you, they're just trying to win. Now me, going back to leasing, I wouldn't lease unless what Remar says in his book convinced me it was a good idea for me, and also that I'm going about it the right way, okay? Number 7, buy your used cars from the right place. This is going to surprise you, I think. Here we go. Most people would say it's best to buy from a private seller. But a lot of time, you're likely to be better if you don't. Not unless you know the seller personally. If you know the seller personally, great, do it, okay? If you don't, you can always go online and buy someone's car they're selling. But man, you better be careful because you probably just entered what I call the lion's den. An awful lot of the used cars being sold online by quote-unquote the owner are not being sold by owners. They're being sold by professionals, people selling maybe a car or two a week. And far too much of the time, they know how to fool you on the condition of the car. Far too often they roll back the mileage and you can't tell. And that's huge. Far too often it's a car they bought on the cheap and for good reason. And now is selling it to you for a quote-unquote fair price. Fair if it wasn't a problem car. So yeah, you can go online and you can take your chances on a private sale. But for most people, I think there might be a better way to go. And before I get to that, let me tell you, I helped several people buy cars online, private thing. I helped them. And I was stunned because we ran into time and again these professional sellers, these mileage rolls and stuff. Personally, I wouldn't do it. Unless I knew the person selling the car, I wouldn't do it, okay? So there's a better way to go. I like it better. Here you go. Buy your car, your used car, from a new car dealer. So why a new car dealer? Well, think about it. It's the new car dealers, the ones getting most of the trades-ins and the leasebacks, right? They're the ones getting them. So what do you think they do? Common sense. They keep the good ones and the ones that aren't, the ones in really great condition, and they wholesale out the others to the used car auctions. So they probably just picked you a really good car, trouble-free car. As for the used car dealers, personally, I think it's best to avoid them. After all, who got all those used cars the new car dealers dumped? Huh? Who did? You want to pick from that litter? I sure don't. Now, I'm not saying you're guaranteed a great car when it's a new car dealer, but your odds are a lot higher you get a good one, okay? And they also use the downtime. They also usually use the downtime in their service departments to check everything, fix whatever needs fixing, which again reduces the odds you'll end up with a problem, okay? As to how to buy from a dealer, you just don't walk into the dealers. Start online, baby, online, seeing what they have that you're looking for. You can also check some of the more popular car buying services on the internet, but understand, these are just intermediaries. It's the dealers that have the cars. You also might want to check out Costco's car buying services. I love Costco, but keep in mind that no service or intermediary, not even Costco, is necessarily going to give you the best price. So always want to negotiate on whatever price you get, even online. Rule number 8, know the condition of a used car. Always make the deal subject to getting your own mechanical inspection and a VIN number history report at Carfax. The Carfax report's great. It really is. I've seen them lately. They're very good. They cover a lot of things you need to know. Was it ever salvaged, stolen, recalled? How many previous owners? Ever failed inspection? How frequently was it serviced? And so on. So you always have a Carfax report. Most dealers will give it to you. They'll just have it, okay? But you will make sure to see it. Also, make sure your car passes emission inspection before you buy it. If it doesn't, you took a lot of money. So that's a requirement. Next, tied into this, don't ever sign an as-is agreement. Be careful. Be careful they didn't slip it into the paperwork. Never as is. You always want to have at least 3 or 4 days to get your own inspection. I mean, even if it's a certified pre-owned blah, 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 okay, it doesn't matter. Trust nobody. Always subject to your own inspection. For $40 someone, somebody look at your car that you can trust and will tell you if it's good. Number 9, shop smart. And the best way to shop for a new car is on the internet and a telephone. You know, it's almost always cheaper and easier than shopping in person. And think about this. Everybody's competing and they know it. Now, often this is true for a used car, but it's always true for a new car. You know, dealers don't want you to know it. New cars are commodities. It's all the same car, right? So why get prices from just 1 or 2 dealers when the exact same product is being sold by dozens of companies? You start with the online services. Personally, I'd get a price from Costco. Try some of the other services then. TrueCar, Edmunds Price Promise, 1-800-CAR show, or whatever, okay? There's a bunch of them. And then if you're not satisfied, you can always work the dealers after that. If it's a new car, you get a call from at least a half dozen dealers. You can do it easily. You can get their contact information through the manufacturer's website on the internet. And don't negotiate. If it's a new car, most are going to offer you a deeply discounted prices with zero or close to zero negotiation, as long as they know you're getting prices from the competition. And that you contact them online or via the phone. You don't go in. Bottom line, never negotiate any prices until you have all these quotes. And never while you're physically at a dealership. So again, try the car. Test drive the car. But leave. Point 10. If you do end up negotiating, negotiate smart. We've talked about that a lot. First, refer to and follow your notes from subject 1. How to get a better price, a better deal on almost anything. And remember this. You can always buy your car someplace else. But if you walk, they lose their commission. So, you know, the truth of the matter is the pressure is a lot more on them than you. You don't think so because they're cool about it, but the pressure's on them. They lose if you walk. You can still win. Now, if you do walk, it doesn't hurt to give them your telephone number. A lot of time they'll call you up and cut the price more yet, okay? So anyway, let's stop there. All this is in your notes, okay? That's the 10 rules you need to follow to win. And now, for our final subject of the day. Oh boy, I told you, this is unfortunately become very complicated. But you'll be okay. You'll be okay. I'm telling you what to do. What to do and what not to do when you go into a dealership. The world of the car dealer, baby. Now look, car dealers are often very nice people. Car salesmen are often very nice people. But you got to understand, it's become a game. And it's just a game they play every day. So don't be distracted by how they act. If they're friendly, it doesn't mean they're friendly. If they're mad at you, they're not upset, they're not mad at you. Just tune it out. It's a game, it's acting. Just focus on what you want. And the funny thing is, again, it's really you in control. Because if you walk, they lose, you don't. Right? So not a problem. Also, now as we go through the list of things to do at a dealer, if you're too uncomfortable doing some of this stuff, here's a good idea for you. Consider getting a friend or relative who's good at this stuff to help you. And if you do, personally, I'd have them play being negative, pointing out the negative parts of the deal, or hey, maybe we should go back to the other dealer. It's pretty cool. Now, for the world of the car dealer, you need to do 6 things. And again, don't worry about your notes here. It will all be in your notes. Nice checklists, okay? But just think about these things. Step 1, you got to know the value of your trade-in before you go there, if you have a trade-in. You can get this online in a couple of minutes, okay? Not a problem. Next, arrange your financing before you start. Maybe you want to finance through a dealer, and maybe you don't. But the only way to know is to get the best financing deal you can before you walk in the door. Okay? And a little trick for you. If the rep asks you if you've already gotten your financing, I would tell them you have. I wouldn't lie. But say you're opening to get a better deal from them if they have one. If they ask you what your deal is, you don't tell them. You just tell them, I'm sorry, well, let me see what you got, okay? Now, The reason I'm telling you that is if they think, they make a lot of money on financing. If they think they might get the financing deal, they might cut the price a little more on the car. Good trick, huh? Okay. Step 3, you need to get the best possible deal on any trade-in. Obviously, look, if you trade in with the dealer, it avoids the hassle of selling it privately. But you know you're going to get less, almost always, right? Because the dealer is going to use the wholesale price, not what you could have got if you sold it privately. A little side point. By the way, if your car is not that old and not too many miles on it, it might be worth going to CarMax, seeing what they'll pay. Get their number. Of course, even if you don't sell it privately, there's a decent chance they'll do a little better than the dealer will. So spend half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour doing that, okay? But even if you decided you're trading your car in, tell the rep you're not sure. You might decide to sell it yourself. You don't in no way signal that you're going to trade the car in. You say, look, I'm not sure. Let's talk about that later. Let's just see. Let's focus on the price of the new car for now. And why am I saying that? If they get the feel, or if they know you're going to trade in your car, they usually think you're trying to get as much money as you can out of your trade-in, and they game you. They give you more for the trade-in, they charge more for the new car. And in the end, it's more confusing, and you'll probably get a worse deal. So, only after you've gotten your best possible price on your car do you negotiate your trade-in separately. Step 4. You focus on the price, the complete price. All that matters is the complete price. The price and the complete price. What the greatest thing these salespeople try to do is they don't want you to do with that. They want you focused on the car. Hey, cool car, the options. The size of your monthly payment. Anything but the price. Don't let them game you. Because frankly, think about it, all you care about is the total price. So step 1, get a total price complete with everything. Options, trade-ins, paperwork costs, everything. Before you try to negotiate anything, you need to have a complete list of exactly what you're trying to buy before you make any offers on anything, right? So a complete detailed list first. And if the salesman tries to not do that, stop him. Sorry, look, you can tell him, just say, listen, I want to know exactly what I'm buying. Exactly. Including paperwork costs, filing fees, everything. I want to see the complete package. And they'll give in. They'll give it to you, okay? All right. Step 5. Avoid buying unnecessary extras. I wouldn't buy any. Don't buy any unnecessary extras. Like, extra rust proofing, extended warranties, fabric and paint protection, VIN etching, and so on. All of these are either unnecessary or way overpriced. You can get them a lot less someplace else. So no extras. As for any of the charges, the legitimate ones are sales tax, registration fees, the factory delivery fee, and the legally required documentation fees. If you see anything else on the agreement, get it removed. Okay? Step 6, leave. Leave. Once you got their best deal, and you haven't negotiated, you've got their best deal, leave. Tell the salesman you need to think about it. Don't negotiate further. No matter what additional price he offers you at that moment, leave. You can call him back several hours later or maybe the next day and do your negotiating over the phone, not in person. They don't like that. They're going to try in every way to get you to come in because then they have more control. If you don't give in, most will cave and deal with you over the phone or the internet. When they do, and by the way, if they pressure you, you can say to them, look, I'm looking at more than what I have more than one offer to consider. And always make them feel there's a competition involved. Okay? But at a certain point, you're going to have to say yes or no. When you feel you got the most out of them, you have to have a figure that says, this is all right, this will work for me. Last of all, take your time. Don't rush. The worst car buying decisions are the ones where people rushed or allowed themselves to be rushed. Even if you find the perfect car for the perfect price, sleep on it one night, and you might lose the car. Not likely. And you probably saved yourself from buying, either paying too much or buying something you later regret. You know, by the way, a common game is there's always somebody else going to buy the car. I'll tell you a story. My daughter and I walked away after getting the quote-unquote best offer. And here's what the guy said. He said, well, if you don't get it tonight, there's a guy coming tonight. He wants it, and I'm going to sell it to him. Well, I found out that guy was coming for 2 weeks in a row. It's a line. Okay, yeah, is it possible? Yes. Is it likely? No. Don't get trapped, all right? Now look, we're done for now, okay? There's a lot of other stuff in your notes. I'm going to stop here. There's a lot to it. I know I covered a lot, but it's not a problem. Trust me. Save your notes, and when the time comes you're actually going to buy a car, read them through, make your little checklists, and do what's in your best interest, okay? But last, I'm gonna do it again. Sorry. The really big savings is buy a 2 to 4 year old car, a leaseback and such, not a new car. Please don't buy a new car. Not unless you're totally free financially. Now, hey, look, it's your money, it's your life, but you need to ask yourself, you want a wow car? Or to be able to be free 10 years sooner to do what you want with your lives, with your days in your life. As one of our very biggest expenses, how you buy your cars can be a real game changer. So please be extra smart on this one. Always know the real trade, the real priorities involved, and then choose what you really want to do most, okay? It's your life. So that's it for today. Buying your car smart, really smart. I trust you got a lot of good stuff out of it. And once again, thanks for joining me. Wish you the best.